Let's say you're an AI developer, but you live in the .NET world. You want to build applications for you or your colleagues to use, and you want to stick with your existing skills and investments without having to learn new programming languages like Python or JavaScript or TypeScript. You love C#, and you want to stick with it. What do? Well, Microsoft just released a preview for its Microsoft.Extensions.AI library, and it looks pretty interesting. I've taken a quick look at it, and it seems worth a deeper look. I don't know if it's something really for me, but it might be amazing for you. I'm Matt Williams, and I was a founding maintainer of the project you may have heard of called Ollama. It's a tool for making it super easy to run AI models locally on your computer without needing to worry about the details of how AI works. It was designed as a tool for developers, but lots of end users have fallen in love with it too. If you haven't played with it yet, you can find out more at Ollama.com and click the big button in the middle of the page. You'll have it up and running on any platform in seconds. So if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that I am firmly in the Mac camp. So as a Mac user, why would I be talking about .NET? Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that Ollama's biggest group of users are Windows users. Although Ollama is designed on the Mac, and most of the core team developers use MacBook Pros, it still works really well on Windows. Really better than any other alternative. And I use a Mac today, but I used to be a Windows user. In fact, for about 5 years, right around the year 2000, I worked on the main campus in Redmond, Washington as a Blue Badge employee. My main language was C#, and I loved it. I built everything with it. I used to be one of the guys at conferences at the Microsoft Ask the Experts booth. Me and a dev from an Oregon-based banking platform, a guy named Scott Hanselman. I think he's done a few things since then. Anyway, it's been years since I spent any time with C#, and I've been meaning to play with it a bit. And this new library gave me a bit of a reason. So let's start by looking at the release blog. We are excited to introduce the Microsoft.Extensions.AI.abstractions and Microsoft.Extensions.AI libraries, available in preview today. These packages provide the .NET ecosystem with essential abstractions for integrating AI services into .NET applications and libraries, along with middleware for adding key capabilities. Okay, definitely a marketing article, but you know what's not marketing? This channel on YouTube. I love to make videos about all sorts of AI topics. It's because I love the technology and I love sharing it with all of you. You know who has millions of subscribers? Microsoft. You know who doesn't? This channel on YouTube. But you can help solve that by liking this video and clicking the subscribe button. It really helps more than you can imagine. Okay, back to the article. Has enhanced the core Microsoft.Extensions libraries with these abstractions or exchange types for .NET generative AI applications and libraries. Okay. AI capabilities are rapidly evolving, with common patterns emerging for functionality like chat, embeddings, and tool calling. Unified abstractions are crucial for developers to work effectively across different sources. Middleware can add valuable functionality without burdening producers, benefiting consumers immediately. Great, this sounds awesome. For example, the iChat client interface allows consumption of language models, whether hosted remotely or running locally. Any .NET package providing an AI client can implement this interface, enabling seamless integration with consuming .NET code. Okay, and here we have an example. I'm not sure if I'm insulted or excited by this code sample. On the one hand, I see that once I create the client that points to either Azure or Ollama, I can just work with it and not worry about any other details. But then it implies that no one would ever use Ollama for large production implementations, which is completely wrong. That said, it would enable the scenario I had originally pictured Ollama solving, sitting on the ferry to go home to where I live on Bainbridge Island, and being able to continue to work even in that stretch where the cell signal dies. Okay, that was a scenario back when I worked for someone and went into an office. Okay, so scroll down and they have a picture, and then our focus is on creating abstractions that can be implemented by various services, all adhering to the same core concepts. We do not intend to release APIs tailored to any specific provider's services. Okay, then we have some core benefits, and then they say that they provide reference implementations for OpenAI, Azure AI, which is just OpenAI, right? And Ollama. They made one reference implementation outside of OpenAI, and it was for Ollama. Well, that's pretty awesome, though I am a touch concerned. We do not intend to release APIs tailored to any specific provider's services. So does that mean the reference implementation is kind of set in stone and will never be updated as Ollama adds features? I don't know. But then further on, it shows an example of using other middleware implementations with the chat client. So logging, function invocation, distributed cache, observability, and more. So that's pretty neat. Okay, so how do you get started? Scroll down to Ollama. Here's an example for chat, and then here it shows doing an embedding. It's been long enough that I've been away from C# that this looks pretty weird. But the first time folks deal with generators in JavaScript or in Python, it looks weird as well, which is why so many tools for Ollama don't support streaming. Okay, so the next place to look is the GitHub repo for .NET/AI-samples. Then click the link for Ollama, then Ollama examples. So this is one example program that lets you choose from a list of specific examples, one in each of these CS files. So chat.cs is a simple chat example in C#. So we can see that chatting using Ollama is just a matter of creating a new Ollama chat client, providing an endpoint, which is usually going to be localhost port 11434, and then a model ID. It's interesting that they chose Ollama 3.1 instead of the current 3.2, but this code sample was probably written ages ago. But create the client, then call complete async. Complete streaming async is available if you want to stream the results like most chat interfaces would use. Then write out the message. It's interesting that if you drop message and use IntelliSense to see what other properties are available, there isn't anything that shows the stats of the generation. I can't see how long it took to process the prompt or generate the output. Maybe I get that elsewhere? Anyway, the rest of the examples show how to do all sorts of things. So how do you get this running? The blog post and the GitHub repo show how to get it running on Windows because, well, that's probably where most folks are. And if you are there, you probably have heard of NuGet. But on Mac, things are different. Go to .NET.Microsoft.com and download the installer for .NET on Mac. Probably sounds stupid to Windows users who have this ingrained in their heads, but I fumbled around for a while to try to get this to work. Clone the repo. When I opened the example folder in VS Code, I saw the debug button, so I could click that. Or you can run .NET run, then press enter, at the command line. There's also .NET build to build a debug version, or .NET publish to build a release version. This all just worked with the repo, but when I tried to get a new project to work, it failed. So I had to run the command .NET add package Microsoft.Extensions.AI.Ollama -- version and the version number. And then it worked. I guess this is what NuGet takes care of on Windows. I was really hoping that build and publish would build everything needed to run, but when I moved that over to a new Mac, it didn't work. You'll need to have the .NET runtime installed on each machine. Again, Windows users probably think it's crazy to even mention, but I guess it was already installed on your system, right? Now, this isn't the only way to build applications that use Ollama with .NET. There's also OllamaSharp by Andreas Wascher. It looks like a project that a lot of folks really like, and he's still updating it. It looks to have better support for everything Ollama can do, but that comes from someone who hasn't thought about .NET in 15 years. You can find out more about that project at this URL. Are you a developer on Windows? Are you using one of these projects or building in a different language? I would love to learn more about how you're building Ollama into your applications. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.